Hey y'all, well, it's the last day of June, the last day of Pride Month, so happy Pride, but it is chilly. I kind of like it, I kind of don't. Not sure when summer's going to come, but I'm already ready for summer to be over at the same time, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I want to make this video for you today and show you a new tool for you candle workers and you people who work with glass encased candles. But I want to preface this by saying I've seen this item in the thrift store probably 1,000 times. It never occurred to me how I can use it in the way I'm going to show you. Um, Other people, someone's out there somewhere may use the same tool or something similar, but I have never seen anyone myself suggest this tool. And I've tried it, it worked for me, and I want to share it with you. Um, so again, today we're going to talk a little bit about glass encased candles, and I'm going to give you some tips along the way before I reveal this tool. So anyway, I use a lot of these. I usually use white just because white's for everything, and I get these out of, I'll find them new in the thrift store, sometimes used. The used ones I will use for illumination on the altar, but the new ones are used for spells. And the thing that I like to do is I basically do like a collage, like I choose my intention, and I'll get like a bunch of magazines out of the thrift store or the local newspaper, and I'll cut out words and pictures, and I'll make like a collage on this to represent my intention. And then, oh, this table's wobbling. Then, what we typically do, well, you want to clean it first too. I usually take a little dab of ammonia, wipe it down, maybe incense the inside. But we got our candle physically ready. But now we're ready to load it with some herbs and things. And so, what I would typically do is I take my herbs, put them in a mortar, grind them with a pestle. I want to get them as fine as I can. I don't want them to be too coarse, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But then I also put at least one drop of whatever oil I'm using in that to get it mixed in with that. Now the next step would be to poke a hole in, or several holes in this wax. Now the number of holes you do is up to you. I heard of one person who they just do one hole. Me personally, I do 3 or 4 depending on my mood and what tool I'm using. 3 holes for manifestation, 4 holes to solidify or seal something. And the tool I've always used is this right here. This is an old wood-handled Phillips screwdriver, because I also use this tip like a pencil on freestanding candles. I would carve keywords on it. And this wood handle, I keep it oiled with Van oil. But what I typically do is I would take this part and poke it down in the candle. But as you can see, it barely goes halfway, depending on, well, even if I go here, it's still probably only going to go maybe about halfway, right? Which is okay. It's worked for me. But and I believe it was Cindy Todo, when I met her, we were talking one time. She said her husband made her a tool. I forget what it was, but she has this big long tool that goes all the way to the bottom. Well, I was in the thrift store. I go to the thrift store very, very often, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, but a tip here is look everywhere in the thrift store, not just in the sections you're interested in, because people pick things up and they put them down. They don't take them back where they were originally, or sometimes things get put in the wrong section. For example, an example I've used a lot is, I can't tell you how many times I found books on astrology in the astronomy section. But anyway, I'm going to reveal this big tool here for right now. Is this. It's a large knitting, I think it's called a needle, and this one's metallic. And if you look, it goes all the way down and even further. So you don't even really need one as big as this one. This is just the one I bought. I think I paid $0.25 for it. And before this video, I made this hole. It's also kind of large because you can see the difference in, well, let me do this. And I'll show you something. So look at the difference in these holes here. Now, that top hole is from the screwdriver. This bottom hole is from this, which is a lot larger. Now that's going back to where I told you I try to grind my herbs down in the mortar so that they're fine. And that's because the smaller they are, the easier they're going to go in this hole. So then I usually put my herb and I'll shake it like this, and it'll get down that hole. Another little tip, I know I'm telling y'all things out of order, but I didn't plan this. I just sat down and started. Another thing I do is whatever oil I'm using, I'll put a little in my hand and I'll rub it on this thing before I poke the hole. And that gets some of the wax down in there too. So anyway, you got your candle all pretty. You poke your hole in it, you put your herbs in it. The last thing I do is I usually top it off with something hard, like a little piece of a root or something. So like maybe if you're doing a passion spell, you might use a juniper berry. Or if you're doing success or money, you might put a hard piece of Hyjon root. I finally put a little oil on my finger, and if I'm doing something positive, I'll go in clockwise circles while I'm stating my intention. If I'm doing something more negative, I might do counterclockwise circles while stating my intention. And then bing, bang, boom, your candle's ready. You take it over to your altar, you light it, say your prayer over it, watch it. I know one teacher and now everybody has their own ways of doing things. I know one teacher who says, who teaches her students to put their palm on the top and then grab the shaft of the candle, for lack of a better word, like this, hold it on the table, say their prayer intention, my intention is to manifest blah, 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 or a psalm or what have you, and then they knock it on the table 3 times, boom, that seals it. Then you can light your candle and spend a few moments watching it. I like to talk to my candle like it's alive, like it's a friend. I don't see it as an inanimate object. I say, okay, little candle, I've prettied you up. I've fed you these oils. I've given you, these herbs, the tools you need to get this job done. And I really want you to do this and blah, blah, blah. And then you just kind of go about your day. But you, as a professional worker, what I would do is I would monitor these candles. I had a notebook. Every time someone ordered a candle from me, I wrote, it's private, so I never showed it, their name, the date I started the candle, what kind of candle, what their intention was, the herbs I used, the oils I used, all that stuff. There was a diagram of a candle in there, and every morning at the same time when I woke up, I would go to my candle altar and look at each candle to see how it burned, and I would make notes in it. And then when the candle was done and burned out, I would inspect the candle for remains. I'd make notes of any sign. Like this candle here has this dark spot on it. That would be noted. Sometimes there'd be a little bit of wax here. I would look at the bottom and how the herbs settled into the bottom, and I would look at what symbols I see, and I would interpret that kind of like a tea leaf reading in relation to the person's intention. And we put all these notes together and send them out to the customer with a photo of their candle and a detailed report of what it all means, what you think will happen, what you're confident may happen, and any follow-up. But if you're not a professional, you can just keep your own records for your own self to do what you want. So that's just a really crash course in candle burning 101. My main point was to show you this tool here for poking your hole in the candle. It's really cheap. I don't know what these go for at like your local Walmart or whatever, but like I said, I paid 25% for this at the thrift store, and it's really worked for me. Anyway, that's today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this and learned something from it, and I'll see you next time.